Hey, welcome in everyone to DomTime, our weekly roundup. We have two of our great pundits with us tonight, Dan Gross, formerly of the Daily News, and now the head of Gross Communications, and Kevin Reardon, columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer that you read, South Jersey mainly. I wanted to talk, Kevin, with you about this ongoing story in Willingboro, New Jersey. And Dan may jump in on this, but it's out there in South Jersey, where as I understand it, and I read a statement this afternoon because I talked about it on my radio show from the superintendent of schools there. They lost about 50 grand last year with this conundrum. You have kids, some of them even at the grade school level, whose parents don't apply for free or reduced lunch. Then they run out of money. They have nothing to pay. They give them a warning. The kid still gets in line piling stuff up on the tray. The people in line are instructed to dump stuff right there in the trash can the kid doesn't eat.
I don't understand why that would be a fair or kind response. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're talking about kids. Kids are very sensitive, all those, little ones being embarrassed like that in front of their friends. I don't understand what kind of public purpose there is in that. It strikes me that somewhere in this there needs to be clarification of how this process is supposed to work. I mean, if the school district is losing that kind of money, then clearly this is an issue, but it's not, 9-year-old Jimmy's fault when he's standing there with a tray full of food that gets tossed out.
Right, and I agree, and I think you've seen it. Here's my take on this whole thing. We're living with some of these parents, et cetera, and you've covered horrific stories, both of you had, being in the newspaper business. We have negligence laws, but we don't have the willingness, the guts, to go after them. Right. So we're going to have a kid, and we're going to actually throw food out, which is a sin to me. I can't help it. Yeah, right in front of, imagine a full tray of food, dumping it in a trash can there.
As Kevin said, I mean, I don't understand how that helps anybody. And he also made the point about embarrassment. I mean, bullying is already rampant in schools. Once you dump out little Timmy's lunch, everyone's going, oh, Timmy can't afford lunch, and they're going to be teasing him.
In fact, if a lawyer's watching this tonight, you could make a bullying case under New Jersey laws, Kevin. I think that this might be something that has cruelty, bullying attached to it.
Possibly actionable, sure.
Actionable just because the school district is doing it.
Right, and especially, a kid doesn't eat lunch, winds up passing out in 7th period. Yeah, so you're going to have somebody get sued over. The medical part,
or people laughing, mocking. They're trying to prevent bullying. This is completely outrageous, but apparently a number of school districts are going down that path.
School districts are also being asked, not just in New Jersey, but in Pennsylvania as well, to do more and more services, if you will, that at one time were a given would happen at home. Now, obviously, if there are economic circumstances, no one is suggesting, least of all me, that if a child comes to school hungry, he or she shouldn't be fed. But at the same time, parents, guardians have the expectation now in many school districts that they can send the child to school and he or she will get breakfast. And he or she will then get lunch. I wanted to talk about that
because I read some of the stories you've covered, and if there is a food stamp program, you can give a bowl of cereal and a milk and juice. You're getting food stamps to do this. Why are you sending your kid off that the school has to feed?
I can't speak to individual situations where a parent might be receiving, supplemental assistance of one kind or another. All I know is that it becomes, I think, too easy for some families, apparently, if the numbers tell us anything, to fob off on a school system responsibilities that really do belong to parents. And Dan's a parent, and
I was actually just thinking that a minute ago. I mean, I can't even imagine. My daughter's only about 2 years and 4 months, but I can't imagine not asking her if she wants breakfast or making sure that she's eaten something. And that's before I even take her to her grandmother's house or something, let alone spend a couple hours and take them to school. You don't know who they're with or what they're going to do for the rest of the day. Not feeding your child just seems kind of
it comes back to the negligence thing.
Right, or
but
at least
nobody stepped in doing this. Let me turn to something that's big, and I don't mean that in any offensive way. Governor Christie was in the box of Jerry Jones, the governor of the state of New Jersey, goes to a Giants-Cowboys game, sits in the box with Jerry Jones, and apparently is a outer Cowboy fan. That is just shocking. Now, if this were in Philadelphia, give us a sense of...
Well,
Say he's the mayor of Philadelphia and he says, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I mean, they would have crucified Rendell or Street or Nutter for doing something like that. Yeah, or Christie. I mean, I think it does seem strange to root for, you can't excuse a Cowboys fan at all. But the Giants, if you look at it, how can you be the governor of a state that gets tax money from hundreds of thousands or millions of people, however many go over the 8 games, to Giant Stadium, pay God knows what for alcohol and food and stuff, bringing millions of dollars into the state, And to me, to root openly for the other team is a slap in the face.
In
to,
the box
to your own
of Jerry
taxpayers.
Jones.
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost unimaginable. The race, though, here in New Jersey is still, each poll that I see, though, Kevin, Buono creeps up 2 or 3 points.
She's not really getting any closer, though, significantly. The numbers that I saw today have Christie still over 50 and Buono right around 30. I mean, there's some movement, you're right, but I don't see at least, what are we, 5, 6
Well,
weeks
here's
out?
why it's important, I think, though. He wants to waffle her to make a statement of the highest order. And the expectations are up there. If he doesn't win by 15 or more, that's not going to be so good. If he beats her by 25 points in a blue states like New Jersey, it makes a national statement.
Well, obviously he's looking for as huge a margin as possible so that he can then argue in 2016 that his appeal transcends partisan and that, he'll be better positioned to get the Republican nomination. I'm not surprised that there's a little bit of tightening, but I don't see any real momentum behind Barbara Buono. Christie sails along at another level, in another dimension almost, and quite frankly, I'm not surprised. He has actually come out as a Giants fan. This is not the first time, but I think it's the first time he's been in the box
of Jerry Jones, of all people.
And he didn't grow up in Texas or anything, to my knowledge. I mean, I don't understand where you get the...
I grew up in Livingston.
I think this is a personal flaw if you're a Cowboys fan. I agree with you on that, right,
exactly.
Dan? We've been raised right. There's something about, we don't want this guy dealing with Syria if he's a Cowboys fan. All right, more coming up here, our weekly roundup. Dom Giordano with Kevin Reardon and Dan Gross.